Now, let me start with you, if I can, Ryan Mark Parsons, because the bottom line is that our economy is based upon the idea of people going to the office, having a coffee at lunchtime, buying a sandwich from M&S and having a pint after work.
Absolutely. I want people to go back to the office. I have lots of friends. I'm young. I'm 21. They've just left university. They're starting an apprenticeship. And they are so eager, Mark, to get back into the office, to socialise and, as you said, get a pint after work. I don't know why we're not encouraging people to return to the office. I see it as a great thing.
I just worry that our economy can be very limited in the way it grows if we don't get back to the office, because it's a very sort of cheap thing to do to work from home, but it's bound to have an economic consequence.
Absolutely. I work in Canary Wharf, and where our offices are, there's lots of independent coffee shops, for example, that rely on the local trades Monday to Friday, and they have suffered enormously just because of the pandemic. And now, as we can safely return to the offices, I see it as an urgency to save these businesses from economic ruin, that more and more people return in order to support these family-run coffee shops. I, for one, will be heading straight to my coffee shop in Canary Wharf and supporting them and giving them as much money as possible to make sure they don't collapse.
Lucy Beresford, as a psychotherapist, what is better for our mental health, working from home or going to the office?
That's a really tough question, because I started my working life in Canary Wharf in a department of 200 people. So I know that actually there's so much to be gained from working with other people, riffing off them, having those random, unplanned encounters where you spark ideas and projects go in different directions. But the problem is that work has become incredibly all-consuming for very many people. And one of the upsides, dare I say it, of the pandemic was that many people suddenly experienced a better work-life balance for themselves. Many people had talked a lot about it. Maybe every new year came around saying, for my mental health, maybe for my relationships at home, I must actually try to carve out more me time or more variety in my life. And suddenly, the pandemic actually afforded that to a lot of people. So my suggestion, because I live in central London, I frequent many of the coffee shops that Ryan is also talking about, and I do want to see more people coming back. But I also think we do need to think about the way in which life perhaps became a little bit too work-oriented and didn't have enough of those grace notes in our day-to-day existence that actually make our life worth living.
What does your gut tell you, Lucy, about what the right balance might be? I mean, would you suggest 2 or 3 days in the office and the rest at home?
Funnily enough, I'd say probably only 1 day at home, because I think that the actual human interaction that you get from being with your colleagues, from your bosses seeing how you perform, and just different ways that you operate within a workplace, those can't be replicated actually working from home. But to have that day, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, it could be staggered within a department or a company, that actually you said, 1 day a week, I'm actually going to be working from home, and you can usually be more efficient, so you can actually free up a lot more time to do things that are more beneficial for your soul. But I think you maybe lose out on that workspace interaction at your peril.
Sam Lewis, everyone gets 1 duvet day a week. What say you?
I'm in favour of that, but I do think that, especially for younger people, the networking possibilities are most important, because we now have basically 2 university years who have graduated, and they're all fighting for the same jobs. And the problem is that now that only the ones who are willing to go into the office are probably going to get them. So, yeah, if you can get off your arse and get into work, that's more important than anything else, I think.
Off your arse, says my panellist. Now, look, here's the question. Do you agree with the comments of IDS Ian Duncan Smith? He was writing in the Mail on Sunday today on this very subject, Sam. And he said in the 1940s, they kept coming to the office even when Hitler's bombs were raining down. Has he gone too far? He's been receiving pelters on Twitter for that parallel.
It's quite a parallel, but I do think that his point is about sort of wider economic growth, right? And if we look at the countries that have done well during the pandemic, China, because they were open, because they immediately locked down, within a few months they could open up again. And so, if we want the economy to start working again, if we want the economies of agglomeration that come with lawyers being around bankers and, as you mentioned, the sandwich guy having a job at the end of the road, then we need to get people back to work. And the duvet day is fun, and I think maybe 1 or 2 days a week you should be able to work from home if you really want to, but we should try and get people back as quickly as possible.
Ryan, Mark, you are, of course, a very successful entrepreneur, and you absolutely wowed audiences with your appearance on The Apprentice. What would you like from your employees in your businesses? What would you expect from them? Do you think it's 5 days a week in the office, or would you accept a hybrid approach, as suggested by Lucy?
Well, I want all of my employees to return to the office without any kind of hybrid approach.
No duvet day?
No duvet day. I actually hate working from home because I find it very difficult to separate my working life from my personal life because I'm so wrapped up in what I'm doing at work at home. I feel like I'm constantly consumed by work. Whereas if I go to the office, I feel like I can leave work at Canary Wharf and then come home and enjoy what I enjoy doing at home. And I don't like amalgamating both of those lives. So I say the same to my employees: get back to the office and leave your personal life at home and not work.
Well, I do agree with you. I find Mrs. Dolan a terrible distraction. But Ryan, Mark, finally on this one, do you think we will get back to normal? Because I suspect that we will never see the kind of level of employee numbers in offices ever again.
I think it's going to take a bit of time to see some normality returning. I have a friend who owns a PR firm, and she's having an absolute nightmare getting and persuading her staff to come into the office, where a lot of them are advocating for that hybrid way of working. But she has said to those who are so adamant to stay at home, you will be at a disadvantage because, of course, if there are members of staff going in to see their boss on a daily basis, naturally the relationship with their boss is going to be far greater than those who are plonked at home, who can't be bothered to get off their backsides and just go to work.